Panhandling Frank Zappa Blues by Bernard Durning. Once upon a time, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, there lived a young hippie Billy boy named Bobby McGee. That was me. I held the door to Frank Zappa's limo outside of Johnson Gym at the University of New Mexico. Lucille has messed my mind up, but I still love her. I really, really love her. Lucille. RUTABAGA. Well, Frank Zappa came to the University of New Mexico, and they had a radio contest to name which vegetable most resembled Frank Zappa. The winner won for the vegetable a rutabaga, and he got to be on the radio station KUNM with Frank Zappa. Call any vegetable, and the vegetable will respond to you. And actually, that winner was Michelle Anaya's brother, who I met in Albuquerque, and he thought I was my brother Danny. I was at a street party with the John Street Rockets playing like on Harvard or Columbia, I forget which one. And he comes up and he goes, "Hey." Anyway, so I go to the Frank Zappa concert, and I'm a poor hippie Billy boy, so tickets cost $8. So I didn't really have $8. So I go, oh, and the black guy, singer, who sings that Frank Zappa song, the Illinois Animal Bandit, he was there that night too in Johnson Gym, as was Jimmy Carl Black, the Indian of the group. "Hi, I'm Jimmy Carl Black. I'm the Indian of the group." That's a famous line in one of Frank Zappa's songs. Like, "Hot Rats." Remember that? That was Captain Beefheart. He actually called from a telephone to be on the album of Frank Zappa. But the original Frank Zappa's Frank Zappa and the Mothers. The original Frank Zappa and the Mothers were Jimmy Carl Black, who's from El Paso, and his son would come up and play with the John Street Rockets. And Chinch even got me Jimmy Carl Black's autograph. So Jimmy Carl Black sat in with Frank Zappa this night in Albuquerque. It was in 1980 at the University of New Mexico in Johnson Gym. And Johnson Gym back then is where we would take showers before the world became bourgeois and they locked the doors and you had to have a pass. But in the old days, in Albuquerque in the 1970s, we would go down there and take a shower. So anyway, here comes Frank Zappa, 1980. This is very modern, if you must know. So when Michelle Anaya's brother won the KUNM radio contest for RUTABAGA, I mean, that was, that was like touche l'amour, I mean, I'm not kidding. But, "Hi, I'm Jimmy Carl Black. I'm the Indian of the group." "Eddie, are you kidding?" No, I saw you on the TV. Like my sister, Jody, had Frank Zappa's album in 1965 called Freak Out. Susie cream cheese. And even we lived in Larchmont, and these hippies were walking down Palmer Avenue by our house on Hawthorne Road, and they were going, Susie cream cheese. And that was right when in Mamaroneck High School they were allowed to grow their hair long and a beard, and girls could wear pants. So that was like the radical change of Larchmont, New York, which is where Please Don't Eat the Daisies comes from. That movie kind of elicits the kind of hipness of where Larchmont was. It had artists and stuff from New York, writers and things, TV people. So anyway, my sister had Frank Zappa and the Mothers album, Freak Out. So that was my favorite album when I was like, 12 years old. So I was going to sing Susie, Susie Cream Cheese, but I didn't want to freak out those hippies walking down. It was a guy and a girl in love, high school, big kids to me back then. And so I didn't want to freak them out like, hey man, this kid is hipper than we are, But anyway, so I actually did take my sister's, or it was out in New Mexico, up in the mountains, and my friend Little Mike Miera let me stay in his shed because it was cold in November, and I played that whole album, 4 sides, one night because he was getting it on, but on the other side of the shed. So anyway, now 1980, it's the modern world, and I go down to the University of New Mexico, and with my $8 ticket, I don't know how I got that $8. So Frank Zappa, Jimmy Carl Black, oh, and that black guy who sang Illinois and my bandit, just filling him up with another bag of that. Illinois and my bandit juice, just filling him up with another bag of that. Illinois and my bandit juice. And he sang. And so I go out after the show outside Johnson Gym on the side towards Central, and I'm like, okay, everybody, like, step away. I'm holding the door for Frank Zappa, Nobody's getting close. So I'm like, big. So along comes Frank Zappa. Oh, so then that singer, the black guy who sings like soul, man, and he's like, that was like a great combination with Zappa and soul singer. And he walking out all by his lonesome out to his car, and I go, hey man, give him a thumbs up. You're great, man. He really dug that, man. He said, thanks, man. A little recognition, So then there I am waiting outside for Frank Zappa, and Frank Zappa and the Mothers. And Zappa even has a song about $5. I don't know what it is. A $5 bill. Some kind of weird song. Because they played in WMNF in Tampa. So anyway, my big story here is Frank Zappa comes out. And he gets in, he's going in the limo. I hold the door. And I put my hand out to shake his hand. He shakes my hand. And I go, how about a 5, Frank? Like I was going to panhandle $5 off him. I figured he had $5. He had to have $5. But the moment I said that, okay, this is what happened. I go, Frank Zappa comes out to hold the door to his limo. Oh, but first, this, the bouncer, a big black bouncer comes out. And he gets in the front of the limo because this really hot Spanish chick in a miniskirt is going with them to wherever they're going, and he's all like, wow, come on. So he she sits in the middle and he sits next to her, so he's in the front seat, so he's not minding who's holding the door for Frank Zappa. And he was the same big old black bouncer from the Rolling Stones' Gimme Shelter in Madison Square Garden, when that girl climbed up on stage. And he gingerly just lifted her up and, carried her off to the side. And everybody cheered because he was like the gentle giant, And after that show in Madison Square Garden in 1969, me and Mike Dunn, we were all animated after the show. And we're going, taking the subway back to Grand Central. And down in the subway, in the, Nedick's, the hot dog stand over there, like in the neon light of Nedick's, there's that girl who climbed up on stage, She got up 15 minutes of fame, 15 seconds, because she's in the movie. And I go, hey, Mike, look, there's that girl. Like, wow, that was cool. We just looked at her. We didn't do nothing. But she looked over at us. She was all animated talking, So anyway, so now, that was 69. Now, in 1980, outside Johnson Gym in the Albuquerque, New Mexico. Oh, and that Spanish girl who got in with the Zappa's bouncer, I worked with her sister at the Zimmerman Library at UNM, work study. And so she told me a story. I'll tell you that story after I tell you this story. So now he's there. So I got Zappa all to myself. Okay, Zappa comes. I hold the door to his limo and I shake his hand. And I go, "How about a 5, Frank?" And Zappa goes, "What?" And I go, "Oh, nothing." Because at that split second I realized how cheesy that was to ask Frank Zappa for $5. You know, how about a 5, Frank, you know? But I figured he could afford $5, you know? But, you know, he probably didn't carry around $5 with him, you know? Call any vegetable, and a vegetable will respond to you. So anyway, so I go, never mind, he gets in. And so anyway, that girl, the Spanish chick, she told her sister in the library, and she told me that they went to like Denny's or something, and that Zappa puts a lot of coffee, puts a lot of sugar in his coffee. So that's all I know. So that's a big story. RUTABAGA and Michelle Anaya got to be on the radio, and he was up front taking pictures of Zappa on stage. I thought that was really cool. And the Johnson Gym, that wasn't the biggest venue, but it was like a hot, cool, man. 1980, Frank Zappa. So that's my story. Handling, what's he call it? Panhandling. Handpandling or panhandling. Panhandling Frank Zappa Blues. Take 2 by me. B-52 Jr. Eddie, are you kidding? No, I heard it on the TV. AC/DC. I remember, there was a swimming pool